vegetables from the farm. They're just ready to chuck at us.
No. Sure. They'd all be easy.
Where was it? At one point, I went to the ag system. Good evening, everyone. We're now members of council here, except for Councillor Jamie Lorraine, who informed us yesterday that he wouldn't be at the session today. Adoption of the agenda, motion to approve the agenda as presented for the second budget working session for the 2020 budget. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Associate, Councillor Tarnowski. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest. Seeing none. Item 4, 2020 budget presentation continuation from day 1 of October 22nd. Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Godin, I believe after yesterday's marathon session, we are at the part for the requests of the public and members of council.
Bonsoir, Monsieur le Maire, bonsoir, Chemin du Conseil. So that's correct. Essentially, we got all the way to the last slide yesterday. And so basically, the last slide is we have those two lists to go through. The public requests that came from, some came from emails and some came from that budget meeting we had in September. And also a list that has been compiled from requests from members of council as well. Okay, so we've printed today some updated lists. The list that we had included with the PowerPoint yesterday missed, or was missing certain details. So the list that you have in front of you now is the updated list.
Okay. So we'll start with the public requests list first. As previously mentioned, these are items that, well, they'll indicate whether it was found to have room in the budget or not. If members of council wish to include it in the budget, then we have to decide whether we're willing to increase taxes to pay for it, or are we willing to cut somewhere else. So I'll let Monsieur Godin just go through the list and we'll start having those conversations.
Parfait. Donc, le premier item, c'était de l'aide aux citoyens pour abattre les arbres atteints de la maladie d'argile du frein. So, basically, help the citizens to put down a tree with emerald ash borer disease. Puis à ce moment-ci, ça c'est pas rien qui est inclus.
This is probably, South Nation has a program with the city of Ottawa, where Ottawa has dedicated funds to this program for, to help residents with the ash borer problem. So if we wanted to put this in the budget, essentially it would be a partnership with South Nation, but 100% of the costs would be borne by the municipalities, just like it's borne by the city of Ottawa. South Nation would do this at a cost recovery type of scenario.
So what does that represent?
It's whatever amount. I think roughly it's, I want to say it was about $500 a tree that they were giving out. I believe South Nation, there was a process where the city of Ottawa would have to, or South Nation on behalf of the city of Ottawa would evaluate the tree, confirm, and then have a price from an arborist or a tree cutting company. And I think they were giving approximately $500 per person. Councillor Associate?
Madame, this question is for Madame Guitart. What approximately is the price to take down, a substantial tree? Because it's like, I've heard anywhere from like $1,000, and there's quite a few. Most homeowners have been taking on this.
Monsieur Leduc, Madame Guitart?
Merci, Monsieur le Maire, membre du Conseil. Yes, it could be very expensive depending on the equipment that they need to put down the tree. If it's a very, very high tree, then they need a nacelle, a big boom. Yeah, so that's more expensive because they need to rent that equipment. So it could range from $1,000 to $3,000, easy if it's a big, big tree.
I think in regards to the South Nation program, it was really, if it was $3,000, SNC was giving 500 and the homeowner was responsible for the rest. Councillor Darnowski?
So I've taken 3 myself down, and it's pricey. It's on my property, and it's my responsibility.
Okay. So we're okay with that, not looking to add it to the budget, Councillor Socia?
And what was the cost? Because most ash trees are fairly large. You don't see too many small
took
ash
three.
trees around here.
I took 3 down, and it was $3,000.
3,000,
Yeah.
okay.
Perfect, so I don't see, no proposition to add this to the budget. Okay. Next item, Monsieur Godin?
Donc, les 3 prochains items, c'est des demandes d'asphaltage, de pavage. We have one for Locks Drive. Then we have St. Thomas at the corner of Route Croissant and at least up to 436 St. Thomas. And the third one is for a part of the Chemin Saint-André between Route 400 and Chemin Réunion.
Okay. Well, I think the items that are already included in the budget, we can essentially just skip unless council members decide they want to take it out of the budget for something else, but it's already included in the budget, so I think we're safe on that one. Yeah, Councillor Sosi?
Were those roads assessed, like I imagine they were, because I'm just curious the state of them, and I know you have your lineup of roads in the next few years, probably.
Monsieur Bourgon?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, it was all our road, was part of our road needs study that was presented to council earlier this month. So we did the assessment of all our roads.
Was Laos on there? I can't remember.
Well, it was part of the study, but it's not in the in our paving plan, like the priority.
It was far down on the list.
Exactly.
Okay.
And again, council saw the list. If we maintain our investment at 1.1, I can provide council the list of what it would look like if we increase our investment to the short term at the $2.3 million. So again, like the list varies, like depending on what's our investment in the paving of our roads.
Right now we're sitting at 2%. The biggest complaint I hear from residents by far is when is my road being paved? I think even in our, correct me if I'm wrong, from the administration side, but even in our surveys that we put out, that's the biggest complaint we hear from residents is when are these roads being paved? 1% is not a huge amount on its own, but I think we have to seriously start looking at, we've dedicated funds to a reserve funding model for the sports complex. I think we have to do something for our roads networks because we have a serious gap in our infrastructure spending that was with that roads assessment. We're talking a multi-million-dollar shortfall in our roads infrastructure, and that's simply to maintain today's current level of service moving forward into the future. For every year that we're short, that gap is actually increasing. So, I'm not specifically talking about these two projects, but I think we should start this year adding a 1% to the budget specifically for roads infrastructure. I think, it represents, 1% represented how much, Mr. Godin, on the average tax bill, $16?
$16.
$16, I think residents, if we told them your taxes are going up an extra 1% specifically for roads, I think that's reasonable in my opinion, especially since that's the number one concern we have from residents. So, not in regards to and all I would suggest is that 1%, starts moving down that list, and if we look at the concept that we had with the sports complex, 1% this year is 120,000. Well, if you add another percent, then there's an extra 250,000 next year. So we've already, within 2 years, added $370,000 to our network spending. So I think we do that for a few years, 4 or 5 years, 1%, and we'll start catching up a little bit better to try to eliminate that gap, if you will. So in regards to these two specific projects, I'm not saying include it in the budget, I'm saying we include an extra 1% to our budget, and Monsieur Bourgon can look at the list and find out, you know, where that extra $120,000 can go as far as the next steps in that list. That's my suggestion. Conseil Brisson?
Je sais qu'il y avait, dans le rapport qu'il y avait eu, il y avait des chemins mentionnés, mais c'était des bouts de chemin. C'était pas clair, comme le rapport que vous avez donné les 2 dernières années. Je ne sais pas si on pourrait le revoir avec les chemins comme qui étaient vraiment identifiés là, pour priorité pour les 10 prochaines années.
So I guess, Monsieur Bourgon, la question c'est, je sais pas comment vite tu peux regarder ça, mais si tu avais un 120 000 $, de plus cette année, c'est quoi le prochain bout de chemin qui pourrait être fait?
Ouais, qu'est-ce que je ferais? Je me fierais avec le plan qu'on a présentement, puis regarder qu'est-ce qui un segment de l'an prochain pour le faire plus rapidement, exactement.
Okay.
Puis je pourrais générer aussi là,
Un cheat sheet.
des résumés qui essentiellement ce qui est les annexes qui est au rapport, mais c'est d'avoir quelque chose de simplifié là, puis partagé avec les membres du conseil.
Comme on avait dans les dernières années, la dernière fois, juste un Excel sheet, les prochains cheat sheet, if you will.
Ça serait plus facile de voir les chemins comme que d'après vos assessments, puis qu'est-ce qu'on peut voir nous autres avec le graphique et tout ça.
So, est-ce que conseil est ouvert, or is council open to the idea to increase the budget by 1% for roads infrastructure? Councillor Tarnowski?
I'd be open to looking at this a little more, but I'm not prepared to vote on that tonight. Councilor, I'm
Okay.
open to be part of that vote.
Well, it's not a matter of voting this evening, this is
No,
just to
okay,
be
that's
included
great.
in the
So
second
you're-
draft.
So I'm open to looking at that, but I'd like the full council before we decide on doing that or not.
Monsieur Leduc?
So my conseil. So I think that from the discussions, we could come up from the direction of council with a few options regarding the 120, because obviously if the next one on the list is $600,000, it's not the one we're going after.
Right.
But maybe, so we're going to come up with 3 or 4 options regarding how to spend it, and whenever, and if ever council wants to discuss that at the next meeting to approve the budget, that there you will be able to choose package 1, 2, or 3, and that'll be included in the report, in the budget.
So would we be comfortable then including it in the next draft? And then, because we're not approving the budget this evening. Councillor
That's
Constant?
fine, yeah, that's fine. I'm just like to ask a clarification. In your opinion, Mr. Bourgon, if we added 150, 120,000, 150,000 every year, are we still gonna get people asking to fix roads every year?
Yes.
That's for sure.
That'll be
Just checking.
ongoing.
I'm just checking.
That'll be ongoing until the roads are being paved, every single road, every single year, yeah, that'll probably be an ask.
So my point being that, yes, it's good to do it, and it'd be great to do all of them, but it'll never be enough for reference, right?
Right.
So we have to be smart with our money. I'm open to looking at it and seeing what kind of impact down the road that has, but again, the full council to make a vote on that, I'd be more comfortable and more prepared.
Monsieur Leduc?
Also, maybe to be clearer in the direction, obviously, in this study, we've shown you that you could have some surface treatment, or you could have some crack sealing options, or paving only. So, in the direction, are you willing to entertain a variety of work on the roads, or are you focusing on paving?
In my opinion, I'm suggesting whatever's best determined by the administration.
So you'd be open to have different
If
options?
it's crack sealing, if it's surface treatment, it's paving, as long as we're spending in the improvement of our roads network,
Okay.
I'm fine with that. That's my opinion. Conseiller Buisson?
Oui, puis de se donner un peu de leadway, parce que c'est des places que c'était suggéré juste du surfacetage, mais qu'on aimerait suggérer que ça soit pavé avec une meilleure asphalte, qu'on peut avoir cette possibilité-là aussi. Là.
Mais juste en faisant ça, essentiellement, on serait en train d'augmenter le niveau de service, c'est ça? So by doing that, the amount de niveau de service, and we're not necessarily catching up to trying to minimize that
Oui.
infrastructure gap.
Mais de l'autre bord, si tu mets une meilleure asphalte qui dure 15 ans de plus, ça revient pas plus cher.
Ben,
Ben, ça revient le coût là, mais si tu es obligé de refaire le chemin au bout de 10 ans au lieu de 20 ans ou 25 ans, il y a certains chemins, je te dis que c'est aussi bien de le faire comme il faut once, que tu l'as bien plus longtemps, bien plus solide, que l'avoir, dire, ah ben, on a mis de quoi dessus le chemin, mais que ça ne durera pas. Ça, c'est mon point de vue, qu'il y a certains chemins qu'on devrait réinvestir comme il faut dedans.
OK. Ben, ça peut être une thème de discussion quand il y a des suggestions qui viennent à la table. Okay, so we're looking at the option to be presented in the second draft. Conseil Tarnowski?
The option two, if we can get clarification on these three projects, I know one is already included, but where are they in the scheme of things? It's great that the residents are asking, and we should look at it, but it would be good to get the professional opinion on where those
Where
pieces
they are
Yeah.
falling in the list within
Yeah.
the next 2, 3, 4, 5, or 10 years.
Just to have like specifically on those, because I'm not comfortable saying, yeah, we should include this or not. One, I don't have a price, and two, I don't even know how. It's just,
Right, no,
Yeah,
no,
that's
like I said,
fine.
I'm not in favor of specifically these two projects. I'm just interested in increasing the 1% in the roads network somehow.
yeah, no, but in reference to these projects, I'd like to know where they stand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Parfait. Item 5 is the next item, I think, which is included, Marionville Citizens Committee Annual Operating Fund. Number 6 is also included, which is the complete the purchase of the chairs for Marionville Hall. Number 7 is also included, which was the supper at the Sugar Shack and the Seniors Committee Christmas supper. Yeah, Conseil Associé?
I was just wondering why number 7 isn't like applied through the community grants, like when it's an event, like a supper.
Yes.
It is?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just,
I just thought he was asking extra separate in the budget.
is that a pre-approved one as well, Madame Guitar? It's not a pre-approved one, is it?
Yeah, they're all pre-approved.
Oh, okay.
So he gets money for the winter carnival, for the cabana sick, and the Christmas party.
They just ask every year to make
Yeah,
sure
well,
the request is
yeah,
there.
we like the committees to, or the associations to reaffirm their requests, so that's good, yeah.
Next item, item 8, addition of Christmas decorative lights on hydro posts from Gregoire Road from church going north on Extremity Village. We're talking again Marionville. That's not included in the budget. Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Bourgon?
I wanna add that there's already 8 lights in Marionville,
Okay.
Christmas lights?
Christmas lights, yeah. I know last year there was a couple that were not working, those were fixed, so there's this season, this Christmas season, there's gonna be 8 lights
Eight.
in Marionville.
Okay, and roughly the cost of a light, you know offhand?
It's about $500 if I remember correctly. I would
Okay.
need to verify, but at this point in time, there's already 8, and I believe we may have room for an extra one, because there's not all poles that we can actually install Christmas lights.
Okay. Councilor Associate?
It was just last Christmas, I remember, because I'm on the committee now for Marionville, and when I was at the event, it seemed like the only light that was working was outside of the rec complex, the community complex, because they kind of took me out to show me, and it was, looked, pretty sad for Christmas, I just thought,
But if there was a few that were not working, like you said.
But you're anticipating that there's 8 working functional lights this Christmas coming,
That's correct.
okay? Were we looking to add to those 8?
well, I was just wondering, maybe 2 more or something.
Monsieur Bourgon?
I can double check, but I believe there's only 1 pole that we can
Oh,
install.
okay.
Because there's only certain ones that there's already a proper wiring, and we can install our Christmas lights.
And we just ensure that they're, all in good order. this
And I
year.
believe the only pole it would Like it's on, like it would be the on Grégoire Road, almost like past, that's Bouchard Street, would be in that area if we do add one.
It looked like a sad Christmas, that's all I'm saying.
And item 9 is the same thing, but I guess they're looking on the west side of the village, which falls to the city of Ottawa. We had a partnership in the village of Limoges with Nation Township. You know, we've already put lights on our side. If Ottawa wants to do the same thing, they didn't help us pay for our side, so I think if they want some on their side, they should be paying for those. But you know, that could be a message I pass along to Councilor DeRuse that I'm sure they got the same request. So are we okay with it as is?
Yeah.
Okay, number 10, paving of village roads, Bouchard, Saint-Pierre Road, Marionville Road. It's not included in the budget. I know that in the original 2020 paving plan last year, Mr. Bourgon, I think it was part of the, originally it was set for 2020, but with the new reassessment of all our roads networks, it's been put down the list, if you will.
Yeah, that's correct. With the new strategy that it's being highlighted with our new road needs study, those roads are not part of the paving plan.
Okay, so perhaps, as similar with the other roads, if you could just inform us where it falls on the list now. And when you're, because these roads are not being done, perhaps you can put a little blurb in the explanation why it's not at the top of the list, just so when residents ask us, well, why isn't this road being done, we have a little bit of information for them, that what the criteria is and why it's been downgraded. Councillor Tarnowski?
Fair to assume that that request is for all road requests
Yes.
that are in here,
Yeah.
so we can just do that.
Yeah. Councillor Associate?
And the road, like Gregoire going into Marionville would be the city of Ottawa.
It's the city of Ottawa with the counties, United Counties, Prescott Russell. I believe that this year, or planned for 2020 is culvert replacements and then paving in 2021 or 2022.
Cause that road is bad, it's
so-
like a roller coaster.
Yeah, it's a washboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the city last year gave us their plans for some of those boundary roads, but I know that it's already changed because we need to keep in line for Burton as well, and they already pushed it to 2023 or 2024. So I know they're not investing a lot in the eastern of the
I know
city.
that based on discussions with Councillor DeRuse, this is a priority, you know, that's what, if I remember well, this year, 2019, they were evaluating doing, looking at the culverts. I think next year or the year after they're doing the culverts in 2021 or 2022, they're planning to pave that road. Perhaps we can just reach out to Monsieur Bouchard and he can maybe get a timeline from the city of Ottawa. Because it is a boundary road, the city of Ottawa really controls when this project gets done. So hopefully it's sooner than later. Conseiller Lucie?
Puis comme que vous mentionniez, Burton, c'est la même chose, mais là, c'est municipal et Ottawa.
C'est ça. Les comtés unis ne sont pas impliqués dans ça,
Ouais,
Monsieur
c'est vrai.
Bourgon.
Donc, quelques années passées, la Ville d'Ottawa, on fait des ententes avec, tout dépendant des différents paliers, là, comme c'était soit les comtés ou les municipalités. Puis essentiellement, tous les projets capitaux sont, le temps est contrôlé par Ottawa. Puis nous et les comtés, on paye la moitié là, de la valeur du projet. Donc Burton, c'est avec nous. Grégoire, Boundary, si je pense à Russland, c'est des chemins qui est partagé avec les comtés.
Parce que c'en était un que j'étais pour amener, justement, Burton, parce qu'il est assez...
Il y a eu bien d'améliorations quand tu rentres pour aller à Transfer Station, tu veux. J'ai été à donc plusieurs fois cette année, puis j'ai vu que je pense que c'est nous autres qui a fait le travail
Ouais.
là.
Puis ça, c'est dans l'entente, il y a une section pour Emergency Repairs. Donc, nous, on a contacté la Ville, on a pris les devants, mais la Ville d'Ottawa, on paye la moitié des travaux.
Parfait. OK. Ça, Number 11, c'est pas inclus, repairs and paving the parking area of the community hall and trail from the community center to Marion Street. Madame Guittard.
Merci, Monsieur le Maire, membres du Conseil. Yes, we've done the pathway, by the way, this week.
Oh,
So
okay,
this is done for this year. No, the parking is not in the budget for next year though.
okay. Do we have just out of curiosity, do we have an estimate how much the parking would be? Rough guesstimate?
More like 60, 65.
60, 65, just to get an idea to members of council that if we were thinking of adding that, then what would be included. Monsieur Leduc?
I think council needs to add more to this cost. There's an issue of replacing a holding tank at the Centre Matara, which will take up a lot of space of the parking lot. So if you're planning to do any work there, you have to remove the holding tank, put a septic bag there, reducing your parking area, and therefore maybe shortening your parking lot costs, but definitely increasing your project cost by doing the proper thing, which is a new septic system.
Okay, so it's not just replacing, repaving the parking lot. Councillor Tarnowski, then Conseil Brisson.
Just the status of it right now, like scale of 1 to 10, being gravel road, about the gravel road, and 10 being new asphalt, or what is it?
Monsieur Bourgon, Madame Thor?
Not too sure if the residents would be too happy, like it is in
Bad shape.
In bad
Better-
shape.
Better than gravel.
better than gravel.
Yeah, and it's not like you're going 40 kilometers an hour
No.
inside the parking lot,
Yeah.
right?
So,
Okay, Conseil Brisson?
C'est juste quand il a parlé de la holding tank, mais est-ce qu'elle est due pour être réparée ou si comme c'est là, c'est OK ou si on devrait avoir de quoi dans les temps
Monsieur Leduc, Madame Thor?
well, we've been having issues with the tank. We've changed all the toilets to
Low flow?
low flow. So we've seen, because the holding tank needs to be emptied every month, because it's a small holding tank. So we've been doing that. It's costing us about $900 a month to empty that tank. So now we've seen a reduction in the price. So hopefully by changing the toilets, it did help. Now the other thing that we'll need to look at is in the spring, because when there's an over excess of water, so we'd like to see if there's the outside water going into our tank. So we might have a leak somewhere in the pipe that goes through there. So it might be going through that pipe in the tank. So we might be getting the outside water in our tank. So that might be why it was always full. So this is something we'll have to wait in the spring to see, to investigate in that. If not, we'll have to change probably the whole thing.
Okay. Chose à ajouter, Monsieur Leduc?
If we have done our better work in asset management 4 years ago, before even doing all the work in the park, we would have done this septic system first, because that was it's on borrowed time right now. So again, our asset management plan now is better reviewed, and this is why I want to say to the council, this should not be a priority, but sometimes it's a political decision, but this money should have been better spent in replacing the septic system before.
Okay, thank you. Conseil Brisson?
Parce que ça, il n'y a aucun égout qui passe dans ce coin-là, puis il n'y a aucune place qui peut avoir un champ septique non plus. Qu'est-ce qui sert?
That's the issue. We do not have the space to have a septic bed. So
Just out of curiosity, the old restaurant building that's there, if that was removed, would that give us some space, not enough space?
it's very far from the building.
Okay.
So we need a lot of pipes
There might-
going under the
There might be a
parking.
whole redesign of that area.
Yeah,
Okay, so it's not something
No.
just willy-nilly.
no.
Okay, perfect, thank you very much. Chemin Gregoire Road, we just had that discussion, it's not included at this time. We'll try and get some follow-up from the United Counties for the city of Ottawa. Item 13, acquire and install recycle bins and garbage cans in the village of Marionville. So I guess that's similar to what we have in the other villages. Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Bourdon.
Right now, we're focusing on replacing the existing, so that's why there's no new location put in the budget at this time.
Okay. Do we what's left, do we anticipate that everything will be replaced in 2020? Or is there still multiple years?
There is gonna be a few location left in Embrun.
After
After this year's.
2020? Okay. Conseil Tonaski, no? Counselor Associate?
Yeah, because they, I mean, they naturally saw the other villages and, they wanted them at least maybe outside the community center and, on the main street if they could have the new, garbage receptacles.
So,
How
what's?
much are they?
Yeah.
It's $900 for the combo, plus the slab.
Slab. So with slabs, what, $500?
Like roughly, maybe a bit less
So we're looking anywhere from 1,300 to 1,500.
in that range. And there's lots of location along that main street that there's not really enough room, or it would be right in front of people's house. So we're really limited in the location for such installation.
So we're looking maybe.
Pretty much the only location would be just in front of the
Community center.
community center, or just beside it where's that little mailbox is, kind
Yeah.
of, like that's pretty much the only location
Well, I
that's,
think
would be
that
available.
would be a start, you know, if we got the one at the community center.
So.
Because they have nothing outside the building right now.
Y en a-tu sur l'autre chemin, où qu'il y a le parc aussi? Où qu'il y a le, tu sais,
Or
juste...
park.
Vers l'église?
Non, comme, parce que le parc, hein? Non.
There's nothing along the roads.
We have some in the park.
Non, juste faire sûr qu'il y en a dans le parc aussi, que quand quelqu'un va, soit pour avec les enfants ou quoi que ce soit comme aura les structures de jeu.
Dans le parc comme
Oh,
tel.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Hein?
Il y en a dans le parc comme tel, oui.
Il y en a dans le parc
or,
direct.
yeah, when we installed the new play structures,
Okay.
that was all part of the design, benches and garbage receptacles and everything matches.
Okay.
Yeah,
No.
that's nice.
Okay. Counselor Associate?
What about the containers that are like in the community center, like we have in the arenas?
The beginning of the year when we had received the direction from Environment Committee to install all those containers, this was all done in all our halls.
Oh, okay, perfect, I see.
Okay, so in regards, Counselor Associate, you mentioned putting one outside, so we'll put that on possible. If there's $1,500 savings somewhere, perhaps we can put one out there. Okay. So we'll see.
Do we need a concrete slab?
I believe, Monsieur Bourgon, the reason for the,
I thought it was for snow removal.
well, it's to make it easier in the winter time to empty the garbages,
The slab.
the slab, yeah.
It's in winter time to create enough clearance so we can open the doors and empty the trash
Because
cans.
they're open front and not top.
Okay. I thought it was the snow removal.
Mhm.
Okay.
And also it allows it's secured to tie them down. So it feeds both purposes, to raise it above ground so we can open the doors,
And they're
and that
bolted
means
in.
they're stable.
You don't want people running down the street.
Still very much.
Okay,
You never,
next item again for Comité Citoyen Marionville, which is the, we have multiple items here. Ensure that the fence and gates giving access to the park are in good condition, that's operational. Oh, it says all these items are included in operational, number 2 and number 3, so I don't think that's a discussion we need. Item 15, natural gas for the region of Marionville, obviously that's beyond our control. That being said, I have reached out to a contact at Enbridge Gas and asked, is it possible for them to analyze that area? What happens with the natural gas, right now, them and Union Gas are sort of in the midst of a merger, and the village is sort of separated by boundaries. As part of Marionville falls under Union, not necessarily Enbridge. So they're having discussions to see, but obviously with the limited population in Marionville, it's not a high priority for them at this point in time. But we have mentioned it, I have mentioned it, and it is on their radar. Next one is in regards to, it's not included, it's Yeah, requested expertise study of intersection of Route 400 and Marvellville. Install stop signs or flashing lights above stop signs all directions. Not sure if Monsieur Bourgon had any conversations. I had a conversation with Monsieur Bouchard at the county level, asking if it'd be possible to do the same process we did with Sainte Marie and South Russell Road intersections, if they could just get some counts to see. He said that at the next available opportunity, he'd find out if he can get some counts to see if it's justified. But again, that's really between the city of Ottawa and the United Counties. Not in regards to our budget, has no impact, but the request has been made of Mr. Bouchard to look into it.
C'est-tu chez nous, Marvellville, ou c'est chez Grégoire?
C'est chez-
À Marvellville.
At Marvellville, yeah.
Ouais.
Okay, 17, creation of the radio station, that's included. Everybody I think was in agreement with that for the public radio station. Next, item 18, a tennis court condition. That was a request from Monsieur Hull, and the comment from staff in this case, it's that there's not going to be, not his suggestion anyways, but we are, in the budget yesterday, there was the tennis courts in Embrun that there was work being done on.
That's right, we're recommending to resurface the one in Embrun, because what Mr. Hood wanted is to build a tunnel and add the little dome to the existing dome, which I think is way more than $275,000, and so I think we're not there.
Okay, so I think we're okay with it not being included. Okay, conseiller Brisson?
Mais il mentionnait aussi que les terrains à Russell étaient en piètre condition. C'était juste savoir est-ce que c'est dans les plans bientôt ou si c'est moins pire que.
Madame Bitton?
No, so like I mentioned yesterday, we took out Russell, we'll be doing Embrun first, and next year we're planning to do Russell.
Okay. As much as we'd like to do everything for everybody all at once, we do have realities when it comes to budgeting.
Mais il n'y en a pas de niveau qui est planifié de part.
No.
On sait-tu combien que c'est utilisé? As-tu déjà eu un
Madame
survey?
I know the ones at the dome are highly utilized, like I showed you yesterday. The ones outside are still utilized, often during the summertime and
C'est juste savoir
during light.
bon,
you know.
savoir s'il y a une attente de monde, si on peut commencer à justifier de dire ah ben on peut
I think it's justifiable.
Yeah, well, I think we
non pas des niveaux.
Oh, for the new ones?
Well, I think the dome is a perfect example, right? We increase the level of service for our tennis facilities by adding it in the dome. So on a déjà fait une grosse augmentation envers les terrains de tennis.
Oui, je sais, mais je ne sais pas si ça est assez ou si c'est pour ça que je demande la question s'il y avait encore une grosse demande que ça justifierait d'en faire un autre comme au parc Richelieu ou.
Ben, je pense avec Madame Victor a mentionné hier qu'ils vont faire des réajustements au tarif pour le terrain de tennis au dôme. Une fois que ces tarifs-là sont changés, on va voir si l'utilité est encore aussi haute. Ben peut-être il y a ça.
And in our recreation master plan, it was not suggested that we have 4 different locations of tennis courts. So now that we've added the dome, definitely it was a big addition for the township.
Okay, parfait, merci beaucoup. Next item, that was 18, yes. We're up to 19, this is coming from the Limoges Citizens Committee. Install a brick border for the flower bed at Nakamas Park entrance to protect from damage by snow removal. Madame Leduc, Monsieur,
No.
excuse-moi.
It's the wrong name. As much I would like, I made that last name.
Monsieur Leduc, Madame Guitard.
Thank you, Mr. Members of Council. This is already done. We had some money, so we did the border. It was not a cost of $3,000. I got it way cheaper. And we're also redoing the sign for Nakamas Park.
Okay, so it's been this one has been taken care of.
This is being taken care of. And we'll be having also the United Counties logo on the sign because it does belong to counties and not township. Our logo will be there because we're providing the sign and we're providing the flower bed. So it's a cooperation for acknowledgement.
Okay, Councillor Associate and Conseil Brisson.
Well, I knew it was owned by the United Counties, but I thought South Nation maintained that part.
Donc, we pay.
South Nation is maintaining it with our money
Oh, okay.
and counties.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, because if there's a repair, they would normally go in and do it, would they?
Yes,
or-
so we give an annual payment to South Nation, as we do for Tweed and Burton and the boat launch.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, Conseil Brisson.
Mais là, quand tu disais la pancarte, elle change au complet.
Yes, because the two,
Poteaux.
the two poteaux, they're cracked.
Ah.
So I'm
Ouais.
sure you probably noticed that it's a bit crooked. So my landscaper tried to put it up, but he said because of the posts that are cracked, it needs to be changed. And KB Media, who's doing the sign, went to check, and they can't salvage it, so we'll
Donc, ça,
change
c'est-
the whole thing.
On paye-tu au complet?
Yeah.
OK, non, je ne savais pas si...
Yeah, it was our initiative, so the only thing that I've asked counties is their permission to put their logo on the sign, that at least residents know that we do not own the park. We help to maintain it, but we do not own the property.
Councillor Tarnowski.
That's the obvious question, could we not try to get some money from United Counties for that?
I already
Good
talked to
connection,
the head,
Okay, no interest.
No interest. Essentially what happens is it's a county-owned property. Years ago, there was a request from the members in the village to do something with the park. The county's stance was that they have La Rose Forest right next to Limoges, and that's where they invest their funds. At that time, if I remember well, council of the township offered to put some money into developing that park. So the county's position is that it's not them that wants the park, it's that the township is the one who initiated the project, we should be funding the project, or maintaining it. That being said, you know, when we're talking, what's the yearly, 4,000 or 5,000?
no, it's not that much, I think it's 35.
3,500. I'm trying to get multiple millions out of the counties in regards to 417. So do I want to exercise political capital for 3,500 or a few $1 million? Okay. Anything to add from the administration on this one? No? Okay. Item 20, solution on traffic problem at Route 300, Route 400 and Limoges Road intersection, I was asked. 100 000, oui, est inclus, étude toutes les intersections de la route 300. Ça a discuté hier, so we're good with that one. So that's getting done. Next one, oui, conseiller Brisson.
Avec l'étude pour le chemin Limoges et 300, est-ce qu'ils prennent la considération de la route 400 aussi qui est dans la nation? Le pire, c'est qui est offset, là.
Monsieur Bourgon?
Oui, évidemment, pour cette intersection-là, on doit considérer tous les chemins dans l'intersection.
C'est pas juste ça.
Okay. Next one suggests that maintenance of Nokomis First be done with the revenues of sale of wood logging in Nokomis Park done by UCPR. This was in regards to, I had a conversation with Monsieur Louis Prévost. They were making reference to when the original deal, when the park originally started, there was some wood cutting at one point. Monsieur Prévost's view was that they did put money in the park, picnic tables, that kind of stuff over the years. That was used with funds from the cutting of the tree, so they had no interest in putting more money, as previously mentioned.
A few picnic table compared to the harvest, I don't know how much.
I don't know, the harvest, from what I was told, was something like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And,
I
you
don't know how
know,
much.
I have no idea, and honestly, are we going to make
No,
them
no,
go look
but
back 15
just-
years to analyze all the costs? I don't think it's worth it. Okay, item 22, I think this is included every few years, but cleanup of ditches on King Street, Monsieur Bourdon, we've refreshed my memory on that conversation.
That's a request that I've seen every year, I believe. Basically, that's things that we do operationally if there's an issue. That road, it's a high water table. There's no issue with all ditching. Just there's often enough water.
It's just the water table is high.
Exactly,
Even if you continue digging deeper, the water table is not going to change.
exactly.
Okay. Item 23, oh, that's myself. I got a few emails in regards to pedestrian crosswalks for discussion purposes.
In
No, not specifically in Limoges. It was, that's why, as part of the strategic plan, I had asked that we have an item under the pillar for pedestrian safety. I think we did include it in the strategic plan. I think this year would be a good year to study those options, see what the case is and how we can improve our pedestrian safety. One thing I will ask though is, Monsieur Bourgon, Monsieur Leduc, I did bring up during discussions about the community, the creation of possible community safety zones. For example, Old Town West, where as you go into a subdivision, that it would fall to a 40 kilometer as opposed to a 50 kilometer. Is there any budget? Is there any money in the budget for signage for that type of project?
No, there's no money put aside for the purchase of those signs and poles.
Okay. So I'll be making a suggestion that we put some funds in there to start that type of project, because I think that's something that we hear is the speed in our subdivisions. Councillor Janowski?
I'm just asking for clarification. Are you asking for a study of where those should be and how we can kind of mitigate any areas where there are issues? Or are you actually asking for some science and you have some areas in mind?
Well, in regards to the funds, I will be asking for funds in regards to be able to purchase some signage for community development or community. Can't remember what the exact terminology is. Community safety zones. That's what I have in mind, but I'd have to double check. They changed the law recently in the last year or two.
Yeah, I don't recall the exact way, but there's now a section in the Highway Traffic Act that allows council to do those changes.
Yeah. Essentially, I'm not putting anywhere specific at this moment in time. I'll be requesting that we put some funding, but that a report comes back from the administration as to where they think those community signs should be, where we should start doing those type of projects. In regards to the pedestrian crosswalks for discussion purposes, that's really through the strategic plan, that at one point in time we will be studying that and having recommendations from our administration as where the best locations for pedestrian crosswalks should be at that point in time. Mr. Bourgon?
Well, since it's on it was approved by council, I would suggest that it's an item that is put on the business plan, so to do the analysis first. So for next year's budget, there would be no impact. Then we can come up
2021.
2021, maybe with a report that here's what could be recommended and to see what type of investments required after that.
In regards to the community safety zone, I can't remember if that's the right terminology. Really, that's essentially what happens is, for education purposes, if we were to, for example, in Old Town West, we wanted in the past, it's 50 kilometers an hour if it's not posted. If we wanted to drop it at 40 kilometers an hour, fines, I'm not sure about the fines, but we would have to put a 40-kilometer sign at every intersection in the past. Now you can put one up at the entrance of the subdivision and at the exiting, just to say this is a community safety zone. So instead of being 10, 15 signs throughout the whole project, then it's one at the entrance and one at the exit, if it's only one or two entrances. So that way the cost is a lot less as far as installations of signs, and again, that's one of the big things I hear from residents, especially in subdivisions, is the speed of traffic going in our streets. Councillor Sosi?
Yeah, I was just curious, where we came up with the signs that everyone's picking up, like slow.
Yeah, so that was,
Because a lot of people are getting them.
Yeah.
I see people walking out with them under their arm and.
yeah, Monsieur Leduc, I remember picking one up.
Yeah, so, the communications department with the assistance of bylaw, and I'm not too sure if public works also were involved. But once we saw a few signs, in our residence lawns, we saw Ottawa signs. I said to my staff, let's make our own signs on our own area. So we had, I think it was 100 made, and when people are calling in to ask for our speed, or raise speed issues, we say, well, at least we can start off by giving you one of those signs. And at least because normally it's residents living along your home or along your project that are speeding. So by having those signs first off start, the awareness is key, so that's why we had those made. So it was initiative from communications and then assisted by bylaw and public works, I believe, so.
I know people like, for instance, that do childcare and what have you, they kind of put it in front of their home if they have a lot of little ones there and.
You can either direct callers to Megan Beeler or anybody, I guess, in bylaw department, so they can assist that request.
Conseiller Brisson?
Comme ces pancartes-là sont gratuites.
Oui.
Okay, parce que c'est ça, j'ai vu un peu dans le village, puis comme il disait, j'avais vu quelqu'un sortir, parce que j'avais eu ce commentaire-là de quelqu'un à Limoges qui est dans la section d'Embrun, pas d'Embrun, mais de Ville Russell, qu'il trouvait qu'il y en avait bien qui faisaient de la vitesse. Mais j'ai déjà vu ces pancartes-là, mais je ne savais pas qu'il y en avait là. Et je sais qu'une autre chose qu'on peut recommander au monde, il y en a qui le font, c'est, on a tous le numéro de téléphone à cette heure. Tu prends le numéro de licence d'un char qui va trop vite, puis tu l'envoies aux polices provinciales, puis ils peuvent envoyer une note à la personne.
Le seul problème souvent, c'est que je sais qu'il y a eu bien des résidents qui demandent pour la vitesse, tu sais, puis on met un temporary sign, puis souvent je retourne avec un rapport pour voir la résidence, puis it's like, okay, so I have to report how fast people were going, and they're like, they weren't speeding, were they? I'm like, not really, why? She goes, well, the person would see the car coming, oh my God, they're speeding, and then look at the sign and realize they're actually going slower. What happens is that even though the speed limit is 50, people in general have a tendency to drive around 40, so when somebody is actually doing the limit at 50, they automatically assume that person is speeding. And
For the record, I don't think you're allowed, like, you can't send a picture of someone saying, hey, they're speeding, because it's.
yeah, the OPP might have a conversation with the person, but they can't give them a ticket. And, you know, if the resources of the OPP. Okay. Monsieur Le Duc?
So just to maybe to in closure to the request from the public, I'd like to bring to council's attention, in 2010, the majority of you were not there. Some of us were here. We at council had decided to create this specific reserve for Limoges, and at that time it was set at $31,000. That was for the realignment of the Pang, King, and the county road, and it's for other maintenance stuff in Limoges. These items have been addressed. So in the reserve right now, there's $13,500 or $13,600. So I know you referenced $1,300 for the garbage and recycling bin in Marionville, and also maybe a light, additional light, Christmas light too. So maybe we could use up some of that money that's sitting there doing not much.
Yeah.
I know there might be some work, limited work to do on King Street. Certainly, you know, that amount of money is not sufficient to dig the whole street again, that's for sure. But we could use some of that money to address these public requests.
Hour, and then so we lost maybe half an hour at most, 20 minutes.
Minutes près.
Ouais, ça, je veux dire,
Yes.
Joanne, tu t'en vas où, cette fois?
Ah, yeah. Parce que d'habitude, ça l'arrêtait quand Richard se pognait le nez.
Ah.
Welcome back, everyone. Took a short break, and I believe we have the webcast back up and running, so hopefully no more technical issues. The next item, village core maintenance, we have it under recreation, but I believe it should be, infrastructure services. I believe, that's just, we've continued with the budget for, students and that kind of stuff to do the work this year. I know last year, we didn't hire the full amount of students, is that correct, Mr. Bourgon? This summer we did, but the year before,
Yeah, in 2018, we ended up having only one student, but this year we had 3 students, and from my point of view, the situation improved a lot.
considerably. I don't even know if I got a complaint, you know, a couple weeds here and there maybe, but not like the year before.
For next year's budget, as for staffing in the summertime, we're maintaining those students
Okay,
to, like, a big part of their job is to.
The
do
village
maintenance.
okay, we're okay with that?
Sure.
Okay, item 11, street flags for the villages, communication, there's already 3,000 included in the budget. Should there be, partnership funding revenues? Monsieur Leduc?
Yeah, it's still no, I have not developed a program yet with the communications department, but I don't know how much a street flag structure costs. I don't know if you have any idea of what that.
Councilor Associate?
Sorry. Yeah, I did looked it up, you know, just, basically, so, it was $50 for but we do have some of the,
Brackets.
Brackets, thank you. The brackets, so $50 for brackets for 2 sets, and then $40 for the banner. It was double-sided.
So roughly about $100 a banner.
Yeah, well, it was 90 plus tax, yeah, whatever, and, so I don't know whether, and then if the service groups might be interested in purchasing it, or purchasing half of it, or, because it would, you know, as people come through the village, they'd say, oh, you know, they have a theater group here, oh, they have this here, you know, and it highlights everything that the service groups, that are present. And I could see it in both, villages with, you know, the nights, all the different community groups that are.
Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Bourdon, are we, so, first of all, I've seen it in other villages, I'm sure you've seen it, Monsieur Bourdon. Do we need permission from Hydro to have it on their pole? When it's just brackets and a flag?
We have an agreement with Hydro for those type of installations, so it would be similar to our streetlights.
Okay, but in this case, this is something, we don't need, the lighting company to be installing these, this is something we can do internally?
Well, it depends of the height, so there's an installation cost.
Okay,
We'll look into that.
I know in, I believe it was in North Dundas, there was actually volunteer groups that were installing them. So, I don't know if somebody's just doing this.
No.
Okay, so, I think, if there was partnership funding, I think it would be nice, you know, if we're talking about $3,000, that's included, at $100 a flag, you're talking about 30 flags. Now, I know we had discussions a few years ago, the post with the social groups, and there was some pushback from the social groups in regards to those signs, they didn't like the way. I think this might be an opportunity. Say to the social organizations, you know, you commit to $100 a year, we'll put the flag up. You know, that might be an option, actually have a fee for them to put up their flag. Mr. Leduc?
Yeah, that was my question. Do you expect, or will you think the social groups or a rapper or something like that would be willing to spend some money on this? Because I can do so much for 3,000, but if I put 6,000, for example, like 2,000 of revenues,
Yeah.
and then I can do a lot more. If council expects me to be charging those social groups for a flag, or if you expect us to be paying for the flag.
I think that we put $3,000 in, perhaps it's saying to the organizations, look, we'll put $50 for your flag, you put $50 and we share the cost of the sign for a wrap-up, or something along the lines, to show that there is a cost, township is willing to put it up, they put their share, I think that's a fair assumption. But I'd have no problem saying put 3,000 included, 3,000 in donations for a total of $6,000. One item I would have liked, that I've seen in villages, and I thought it was a fantastic idea, is, for Remembrance Day, is if we could have, veterans, families of this area, that we have a flag on Veterans Day. So, for example, there was somebody that passed away in the war, or a veteran, Monsieur Brisson, for example, you have a flag, Monsieur Brisson picture. That's a lot more historical work to find that, but maybe there's an opportunity with the Historical Society to find some of that information in local groups. Monsieur Didier?
I know at my last visit at the museum, there's a binder full of names, so I spoke to Mr. Baker about that too, so he can assist us with that. Again, that one though, who pays for what, I know it's part of my thought process regarding
Yeah.
street programming, but that's not the initial program here.
Right.
Okay, so then that could be a secondary one with,
Mhm.
or more investment into second year.
Guarantee we could get a trivia night going for that one.
Yeah.
Guarantee that one would fly. So, Councillor Solstier?
Yeah, and I remember the brackets were there for when the fire department celebrated their 100th. They had put the flags all the way through the village with, they had quite a number of them
Yeah, that's
actually.
true.
And with the, RFE 100 years, so, I was kind of looking, and there's still a lot of those brackets are there, but, I think, like the Lions and King Club might want one, the Horticultural
Oh, yeah,
Society,
everybody.
and once you say you started with, 10 this year or something, and once other groups see them, I think they would then come on board.
I think most groups, if we contacted them and say, look, we're putting this program in place, the flag cost is $100 or $150. Township is willing to split the cost with you, 75 or 50-50. Are you interested? I think most organizations would definitely say, yeah, we'll put the $50 or $100 in. Conseiller Brisson?
Je l'ai vu dans plusieurs villes et villages, parce que je sais qu'à Guelph, je l'ai vu à Chrysler, tout ça. Mais je ne sais pas, est-ce que ces drapeaux-là sont restés l'hiver aussi? Est-ce que c'est fini avec l'été, qu'il faut que ça soit tout rechangé? Est-ce que c'est bon pour plusieurs années?
We designate all year, I see them up in Chrysler.
Monsieur Leduc?
I guess the answer to that question would be, we have to look into, are they close to the Christmas lights setup?
Oh,
Yeah.
So if that's the case, we'd have to remove some of them out. If not, can we put them on the other side of the post? I mean, that's something to be working on when we work on the project, but certainly, that's what
But
we
do
can
we-
answer.
Puis, de savoir c'est quoi la...
I would think, they would be left there permanently and then just change,
Mais ça, c'est pour ça que je ne sais pas si le matériel, c'est bon pour
That would be,
un an,
the
5
supplier
ans.
would be
ou
able to help
plancher.
us out.
C'est des questions que j'aimerais avoir avant que...
ben, encore une fois, si c'est dans le budget, on va rien au conseil avec un rapport qui dit voici le programme proposé, ou vous l'acceptez ou vous l'acceptez pas, mais c'est au moins mettre le montant d'argent. Là-dessus, le sommaire, je penserais que on va mettre 6 000 en dépenses, puis 3 000 de revenus
donation.
communautaires, qui fait avoir un net 3 000 pour municipalité.
Oui.
So, ça va avec ça.
Ouais, le 3 000 est déjà inclus, plus le 6 000, un autre 3 000 de donation.
Ouais.
T'as 6 000 total.
Ouais, 6 000 dépenses totales, puis 3 000 revenus.
Oui, parfait. Oui, 100%. Everybody's okay with that? Okay.
So, just quickly, I think they call that in Ottawa pageantry program, because they have them when it's Tulip Festival and it's,
On Sussex.
yeah.
Yeah, you see when you go to Orleans near the
Yeah.
roundabouts.
And so you know that you're in
Mhm.
raffle season, so they really align it with certain things going on, which I think is good.
Local flavor, Robbie?
So my thought, there would be some permanent installed for social clubs, and then some left for remembrance, those specific events, Christmas parades, or
Yeah.
whatever else. that-
Leading up to Russell Fair, Remembrance Day,
Those
Christmas
kinds of things.
time.
Yeah,
All sorts of
it's
things.
awesome.
Okay. Item 12, tree and urban cutting bylaw, it's not included in the budget. Is that something did we put that in our strategic plan, Mr. Bordeaux?
Well, the urban tree bylaw, yes, but that's an item that doesn't require any fund from the
Funding.
budget.
Okay.
And it was,
Councillor Associate?
it was just to have, like I saw you had, I think, 30,000
Mhm.
for trees in your budget.
Yep.
So I just wanted to make sure we had, in case we have to replace trees or,
There's some funds available already in the
Yeah,
budget specifically.
the 30,000 is for maintenance and trees. So this year we cut the ash trees and Yeah, no park, so next year we're planning to replace some of those trees. Maybe not as many, but some trees.
Okay. 13 is included, continue working asset management, I think we're good on that. 14, continue with our plan to set funds aside for development or sports complex. I'll just bring it up because Councilor Lorraine mentioned it to me. I asked for a 1% increase this year specifically for roads. He had requested that another percent be added to the reserve fund that we have going right now. So Councilor Lorraine indicated that he was willing to entertain a 4%, or the 2% requested, 1% for addition specifically for the sports complex, and 1% specifically for roads infrastructure. That's his request. I think personally, again, 1% represents $16. I think that the population, when you present we would present this to the budget and we say, 2% is essentially operational changes, 1% roads, 1% complex. People have a tendency, they want to be able to understand what are these funds. They don't mind paying a little bit more if they know it's going towards something tangible. So I'm just bringing that up. It was mentioned. If council entertains the idea, it's just bringing it up for discussion. Conseiller Brisson.
Juste une question. Dans le 2% qu'on avait comme c'est là, il y avait 1,5 qui était, ou à peu près ça, 1,5 qui était alloué pour le Sport Dome. Pas le Sport Dome, le Sports
Complex. Monsieur Leduc.
Monsieur le membre du conseil, c'est pas 0,5. On a mis 150 000 de plus que le 150 000 de l'année passée. Donc, on est rendu à 300 000 cette année.
Ouais, ben c'est une augmentation. Fait c'est bien proche 1%, donc 150, parce que c'est 120 qui est 1%. Fait que,
Vous avez dit 0,5, c'est pas que j'ai dit pas 0,5.
non, c'est un plus.
1,25%.
Hein?
1,25%.
Fait que techniquement, comme c'est là, le 2%, c'est vraiment une augmentation de 1% d'opération comme de régulier.
Inclus ça.
Puis il y en a déjà 1% pour le Sport Dome, comme c'est là.
Le raisonnement de conseiller Lorraine, c'était que si on n'a pas le toit, on essaie pour les 35 millions. Si on n'a pas le toit, puis on décide qu'on va avancer à des projets de telle envergure, il faut de bâtir une réserve pour un paiement. C'est pas le 150 000 qui va faire la différence, mais Monsieur Leduc, ça représente combien en fait de paiement sur un emprunt, I guess?
C'est ça, c'est un calcul qu'on va faire. Ah oui, tu l'as fait déjà. Bon. Et avant d'aller à la réponse à votre question, je pense que le but, l'objectif ou le point du conseiller Buisson, c'est ça. C'est que, exemple, si on disait qu'il y avait 3 ou 4% d'augmentation, il y a peut-être seulement 1% qui est dû operational. Il y a peut-être là 1 plus 1 qui ferait 2%.
Pour le complexe.
Pour le complexe récréatif.
Oui.
Puis peut-être 1 additionnel si vous allez à cette direction-là pour les chemins. Juste pour être plus clair, pour chercher votre point, M. Buisson.
C'est pour ça que quand on parlait de même les polices de séparer, moi je n'étais pas pour, mais je suis beaucoup pour dire, OK, on a tout de même 4% d'augmentation, mais il n'y a rien qu'1% d'augmentation qui s'en va pour la municipalité, là, comme des différents coûts, infrastructures. Puis là, on a 2% pour le REC, puis on a 1% pour vraiment pour les chemins, qu'on a dit là.
Ben, c'est la suggestion.
La suggestion, que c'est vraiment clair de dire, ben, c'est pas parce que ben, le staff n'a pas fait attention, puis là, il y a un 4% d'augmentation dans les autres dépenses.
Non, la communication au public elle va être obligée d'être faite bien comme il faut. Puis je pense qu'on a amélioré beaucoup la communication dans les dernières années.
C'est pour ça qu'en étant de même, moi, j'aurais pas de problème non plus de dire.
Tu voulais-tu donner ta réponse, M. Godot?
Donc la question, c'est 1%. 1% d'augmentation, ça donne 120 000.
Oui.
Un paiement de 120 000, c'est bon pour un emprunt de 1,8 million sur 20 ans.
So, pratiquement 1,8. So, essentiellement, si on monterait pratiquement 2% cette année, comme si on ferait le 1% d'extra, ça serait à combien qu'on serait rendu pour le complexe? Parce que là, on a mis 300 000, ça serait 420 000.
Oui, ça serait.
So, 420 000, so 4,2 fois 1,8. So, on serait pratiquement à 10 millions d'emprunts possibles avec ce paiement. C'est ça? pour n'importe quoi.
Mais je pense que ok, ouais, là on est rendu à 400, comme tu dis, à 400.
On serait à 420 000,
Ouais.
sur quel-
4,2, c'est ça.
420 000.
420 000 fois 1,8 million, fois,
Les intérêts aussi.
c'est
Mais on 6,3 millions.
6,3 millions. Sur ça, le 420, il faut clarifier, le 420 représenterait un emprunt sur un emprunt de 6,3 millions,
Sur 20 ans.
sur 20 ans.
Tu sais, ça va dépendre, est-ce que c'est quelque chose qu'on fait une fois en 2020 ou c'est quelque chose que vous voulez rapporter encore,
On peut en
jusqu'à
discuter en
construction, ça c'est
2021.
différent.
Ah, ben, je dis pas que si on augmente 1%, qu'on fait comme, là, on regarde vraiment, comme le conseiller Bresson dit, un 2%, un petit peu plus que 2% cette année. Je dis pas que le 1%, on continue à le faire automatiquement. Cette discussion-là revient au conseil, définitivement. Conseiller Ternasky.
Je veux juste comprendre, moi je suis pour l'idée aussi, je pense que c'est la population veut qu'on fasse le monde, pas le monde.
Complexe.
C'est le complexe sportif, excusez-moi. Est-ce qu'on peut comme sortir ça comme on the line item, so that on the tax bill it does show that this is
So,
Monsieur Leduc.
c'est exemple dans le rapport qu'il va présenter au conseil le deuxième draft. On dirait il y a 1% là, puis il y a un 2% pour le paiement ajusté pour être complexe, puis un autre pourcentage pour les frais additionnels. Mais c'est dans la vente dans la vente de décision du conseil, dans les communications qu'on ferait cette mais pas sur le tax bill direct.
Est-ce qu'on voulait faire ça pour la bibliothèque?
Le dôme, le complexe, il est 100% de nous autres. Okay, so is there willingness to put that in the second draft?
I'm happy with that. So we're at 1.25% right now for the sports complex, and we're talking about adding one more, or to match it to 2%.
Ouais, 1% c'est 120 000, mais qu'est-ce qui est dans le budget, c'est 150 000 qu'on a ajouté cette année. So it would be the 150 plus the 120. So
About 2.25.
right, so when it's in the report, it would be really, it's 2.25% that we're including for sports comp. Just for that.
Si tu l'arrondis à 2%, tu baisses.
No, I think,
Facile à vendre, 2.5.
ouais. So, you're okay with that? Okay.
Comme je dis, je veux juste pas étranger le monde non plus, parce qu'il y en a qui sont quand même cash-tête. Ça fait que chaque pourcentage d'augmentation de taxes, il faut y penser pareil, ça n'a pas de l'air gros, mais c'est quand même
Oui.
dans les choses, là, que ce soit avec une business ou quoi que ce soit. Mais je pense que ça passerait dedans.
Oui.
Mais c'est pour ça que je disais, là, tout bien l'arrondir à 2%, comme on disait. Mais
Ben,
ça-
moi, si on va aller à 4%, c'est un chiffre égal, flat across the board. Faut pas oublier aussi qu'en Prescott Russell, on a vu les chiffres, là, on est le deuxième plus bas en fait de taxe. Je dis pas que je veux que le deuxième, tu sais, le dixième plus haut, mais je pense qu'il y a une marge de manœuvre, là. Tu sais, le monde, ils veulent un plus gros niveau de service, ben, il y a un coût associé avec ça.
Et je pense pas que le monde dise rien non plus. Dire, ah, OK, il y a au moins 2% qui s'en va pour le complexe. Puis
Je
pense que c'est.
Puis le monde, s'il chiale pour le 4%, mais la question, tu veux-tu le complexe sportif? Tu veux-tu que nos chemins soient améliorés?
Soit ça ou la meilleure chose, c'est de leur dire, ben, si c'est pas 2% comme c'est là, ben attendez, mais qu'on bâtisse, vous allez avoir une augmentation de 10%.
Ouais. Non, si on est confortable.
C'est ça, pareil, la réalité.
Ah oui, 100%.
Que
Ouais.
si on a
Monsieur
pas de
Leduc?
I was going to say that. Last year we had the first test, which was to increase our rates for the ice rental and the pool usage and a surtax on those.
Mhm.
That was the first test to see if the community is ready to take on a new rec complex expense.
Il y a pas de problème.
Now this second test here would be how will they react to this extra percent on taxation. If there's a wild reaction to this decision by council, I think we have to consider or reconsider
The size
the
of it.
level of the size of the project we're doing or thinking for a rec complex. If that hits the pavement right now and it's a big barrier, I think it's a big signal warning, signals of warning to beware before constructing something big.
Yeah. Well, we also, we agreed yesterday that we're moving with the grant application, we're also moving forward with consultation period, referendum type of scenario with the public and stuff. So we'll get a lot of feedback from that one as well. Conseil Tarnowski?
Not to keep going on this point, but I just wanna be sure, so if the grant does come through and, I mean, even though we're adding this 1% to it, it's still not gonna, like, the grant is only up to 35 million, right, 70% of it.
Right, so we're looking 35 million on a $50 million project.
Yeah.
There's 15 million left. We have roughly 6 million in development. By the time we build it, we'll probably be closer to 8 million, leave 7 million. And at the percentage we're at now, that's almost the payment of the loan.
Yeah.
And decent.
And DC, yeah, so it's, oh, that's why I meant the 8 million from.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Okay, just to, we talked about yesterday possible referendum type scenario in public. Did we put anything in the budget for that amount? Because there's a cost of approximately $15,000.
Yeah, I think in our notes, for us to follow up would be, we put an expense in the budget,
Okay.
and that's to be financed by the DC or the
Oh,
rent complex.
that's correct.
So there's no impact on that.
Non-taxation, perfect. Other comments, Councilor Sosi?
It was just a quick comment, cause like I said, I've been at a lot of those meetings and, you know, as you know, everybody was like, I want, they have these huge wish lists, and then you tell them you're putting your taxes up 1%, and it's like, what, you know? So if you want this is what it costs.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, as I remember, it was, what people wanted in the rec center was quite exorbitant.
Okay,
But
Madame
if I
Tom?
could add, we can tell our residents that they were really, very lucky, because they got a nice sports dome that is not
Yeah.
costing them anything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and that's not even including the fundraising portion of this, that has already started and funds have already been raised, so. Okay. Next item, train station we dealt with. Add storage lockers, it's already in the budget, will be done in 2019. Madame,
Yes, those boxes will be installed before the year end.
okay, perfect. Item 17, continue sidewalks on Saint-Augustin up to La Madeleine, it's not included, we're looking at approximately $112,000 plus drainage work and pole relocation. It's an added increased level of service, $112,000 plus all the operational costs that come year after year associated with that. Is that something that members of council wanted to try and cut elsewhere to get done? No? Okay.
Yes,
Ed?
I would like to, yes.
Where would you like to cut $112,000?
I don't have that idea.
You have the want, but don't.
Well, I think it's a safety requirement. That is a street where a lot of students, a lot of kids walk
Yeah.
to school. And so we're talking about, mitigations for speeding. I think a sidewalk there is another way of doing that. So
Okay.
maybe not sidewalks because of the cost, the fact that they're expensive, but, like, I'm going with those discussions to see what can be done there.
Monsieur Bourdon, would it be feasible to do like Blair Street line painting, no parking on that side, and have les poteaux?
Well, again, we're in a situation where it's almost a ditch all the way along, so there's lots of drainage improvement to do. Our pavement is almost to the edge of where it
The
starts to
grass.
be grass. So that's why there's there's the cost of the sidewalk itself, plus all those drainage issue, and so basically, the road profile was not meant or was not designed that way at first, so that's why there's bigger costs to do all those type of improvement or changes.
We have, it is in the strategic plan for pedestrian review on how to improve. Maybe part of that is seeing how many people are actually using that to walk.
Well, that would be a start, cause I'm sure there's last year I showed council other location where sidewalk could be installed.
Yeah,
And if we think about Centenaire, well, I'm sure there's lots more pedestrian using Centenaire than that segment of Saint-Augustin.
Monsieur Leduc?
suggest that I'm thinking of 3 to 4 options regarding the potential 1% increase to roadways or sidewalks. So one package could include the 112 of sidewalks plus something else.
Yeah.
And once you presented the 3, 4, 5, 6 options, council then can debate
They
and
debate that.
choose any if that's the priority, then you select that one.
Yeah.
Because maybe once you see what other projects we have in road reconstruction or road repavement or whatever else, you may choose to go for sidewalks instead of that, but
My only concern with that is that the suggestion I made for the 1% increase was to reduce the infrastructure gap. And this would actually be not doing that at all, it would actually be increasing the infrastructure gap. So, conseiller Tarnowski?
I'm open again to the discussion we had earlier on about, where there is speeding issues, if there are really issues. That if we can somehow look at mitigating that to whether we add something to it or somehow, I don't know, adding more stops or something. But that's when I was going door to door, that's a common theme that came around that area. Not necessarily from residents on that street, but around that, so.
Cool. Conseiller Brisson?
L'autre, je sais pas, je sais qu'on parle souvent des surveys, ça coûte de l'argent, tout ça. Est-ce que c'est un rapport qu'on aurait besoin de savoir d'où que ça y aurait la suggestion? Ça, c'en était une suggestion, mais je sais que Centenaire, mais je ne sais pas si Centenaire, c'est installable même. L'autre, je sais que c'est facile à faire parce que les entrées sont déjà bien longues. Mais je sais que j'avais eu cette demande-là pour un bout à Russell aussi. Fait que là, c'est pour ça, je le remets au conseil de leur recommandation aussi, si vous nous recommandez de dire, OK, ben, on vous prépare un rapport pour quelle extension de trottoir qu'on suggère avec l'étude de pédestrienne qu'on parlait tout à l'heure, pour améliorer les choses pédestriennes. Est-ce que ça rapporte dedans? Ça fait 4 ans que je l'amène cette recommandation-là que j'avais eue, chose. Fait que je parais attendre une autre année si ça peut être considéré dans la chose avec l'étude, puis là qu'on a un backup, dire OK, ben c'est pour ça que.
Oui, parce que je pense que moi, j'envisionne, si vous voulez, l'étude pour le pedestrian safety semblable aux roads qui dit, OK, these would be the next steps. Here's a list of what we do.
Quel chemin qu'on s'en va mieux.
We start with here, we do this, we do this, we do this. This is the proposed timeline to.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I envision a report to be like. Now, whether that's how it gets set up or not, we'll leave that to the experts. But that's I agree that if that's an item to be considered in the safety.
Si ça peut être fait en même temps, moi je ferai bon pour avoir le rapport et on discutera de.
Perfect. We're good with that, Monsieur Leduc? Next one, Route 200, Saint-Guillaume to Boundary, that's included.
Ouais, mais pas pour le faire.
Pas pour toute l'affaire. So, Monsieur Bourdon, peux-tu clarifier?
Pas de Saint-Guillaume.
Comme j'ai mentionné hier dans les projets capitales, il y a des sections qui ne sont pas prévues pour l'an prochain, mais qui ont été identifiées pour 2021. Ça, c'est les segments avec les courbes prononcées. Donc, on va faire cette analyse-là avant. Donc, c'est pour cette raison-là qu'il y a 2 segments qui sont retrouvés en 2021.
Monsieur Brisson?
Mais dans les choses de cette année, je voyais comme la route de Boundary à Hamilton. Justement, dans ce bout-là, il y en a une grosse curve. Je ne sais pas si...
Monsieur Bourdon?
Je veux mes excuses au conseil. Hier, j'avais oublié d'ajouter la section de North Russell à aider aussi, qui était prévue l'an prochain, qui est déjà inclus dans le budget, dans cette somme-là. Puis la courbe que le conseiller Brisson fait référence se trouve entre Hamilton puis North Russell, puis cette portion-là est prévue pour 2021.
Okay. 2021. Les curves, c'est pas mal en 2021.
Exactement.
Okay. On est correct avec ça?
Ouais. Mais ça, c'est juste surfacetage. C'est pour ça que la route 200, je trouve que Est-ce qu'on devrait en faire moins grand là ou le faire avec une meilleure qualité?
Monsieur
Ben,
Bourgon, ça,
c'est
ça,
ça.
ça faisait partie de l'étude,
Parce que
puis c'est ça,
Je sais que-
on se base sur l'étude qui a été faite.
Essentiellement, aujourd'hui, on a gardé le même niveau de service. C'est un no truck route. On se fie avec les comptes de trafic qu'on a dans cette région-là. Donc, c'est ce que reflète notre étude. Puis encore une fois, si on augmente le niveau de service, bien là, ça a un impact sur...
L'infrastructure gap.
Exactement.
Okay, so, est-ce que toi, tu suggérais de monter le niveau de service sur ce
Ouais.
chemin-là?
Parce que enlever la chose de no truck, que justement que les camions peuvent prendre cette route-là pour éviter Russell s'ils veulent descendre à Metcalfe puis à 31.
Monsieur Bourgon?
La majorité de ce trafic-là utilise présentement la route 400 afin d'éviter Embrun et Russell. Gardez en tête que la route 400 fait déjà la municipalité d'un bout à l'autre.
Si on... As-tu une idée du coût si on n'était pas d'augmenter le niveau de service, l'impact? Je suis certain que c'est tout le budget cette année, probablement.
Si on se fie aux recommandations qu'on voit dans notre étude, nos chemins d'asphalte, on devrait avoir ces 2 couches qui seraient l'idéal pour avoir un bon niveau de service. Puis là, notre coût serait le budget de cette année pour un segment essentiellement.
OK. So, OK.
Pour l'asphalte de l'UTCA. J'ai jamais vu.
Non, mais ce qui est recommandé, ce qui serait la bonne façon de faire, ce serait 2 couches. C'est ce qu'on doit. Mais nous, on ne fait pas cette approche-là pour être capable de faire plus de distance.
OK. Ça, c'est un coût significatif. Tu proposer des changements au budget?
Ben, comme je dis, c'est juste que je pensais à l'autre grosse curve, là. Mais je pensais qu'elle était entre Hamilton puis Boundary.
Elle se retrouve entre Hamilton puis North Russell, puis c'est tout juste avant Force Road.
Ben, les curves, essentiellement, sur ce chemin-là, on regarde toutes les curves pour 2021, c'est ça? OK.
Puis ça fait que le bout d'où que la piste cyclable sort, elle n'était pas pavée comme c'est là non plus.
Non, pas l'an prochain. Puis encore là, ce segment-là, à cause du profil et la location des fossés, si on garde les fossés où ils sont, on ne peut pas vraiment élargir le chemin. Donc, ce serait à la même largeur qui est présentement pavée.
Ben, la
Tu parles
de quelle tu parles, la 200 ou
La route 200.
OK, juste clarification. Toi, tu parles-tu du parking lot au bout de Force Road?
Ben là, c'est que la 200,
Oui.
puis c'est pas au bout de Force Road, c'est au bout de la piste, là.
Oui, oui.
Ouais. Mais c'est pour ça que là, elle n'est pas inclus comme c'est là, fait que si on peut en discuter. Mais je pensais qu'il était assez plat qu'on pouvait paver plus large, que l'accotement était assez large, que c'est pas comme Saint-Pierre que tu as le chemin, l'asphalte un pied, l'accotement un pied, puis là, ça drop.
Monsieur Bourgon?
En gardant le même profil du chemin, on peut réussir à repaver un petit peu plus, mais on ne pourrait pas qualifier ça de piste cyclable. Ça demeure juste un accotement pavé. On n'a pas les dimensions minimum pour être capable d'atteindre les critères d'une piste cyclable. Donc, c'est pour ça que je dis les fossés, sans les déplacer, garder le profil actuel, on n'est pas capable d'élargir la route 200 pour accommoder une piste cyclable, soit détachée ou...
Ben là, non, ben qu'est-ce que je parlais, vraiment, c'était pas long, c'était juste de la piste cyclable à la route Hamilton. Pour faire le loop qu'on avait parlé avec Hamilton.
Ma réponse reste la même chose. Le profil du chemin ne permet pas un élargissement pour permettre d'avoir une piste cyclable.
Sur quel chemin?
Sur la route 200.
Sur la route 200. OK.
Mm.
Est-ce que le chemin Hamilton qu'on avait parlé dans le passé de faire le loop, est-ce qu'on a fait l'étude pour voir, on va être capable de finir le loop cyclable, si tu veux?
Mais encore une fois, c'est que le profil existant, on est capable de paver les accotements
OK.
afin de regagner une largeur pavée du chemin.
Oui.
Mais encore une fois, c'est pas suffisant pour être qualifié d'une piste cyclable.
Non, mais
Ça serait comme les chemins décomptés?
Exactement.
OK.
On est loin de... C'est pas une piste cyclable où on peut pas avoir un détaché ou avoir une largeur de 2 mètres
Non,
les deux
C'est pas
côtés.
ça. Je pense qu'est-ce qu'on parle, M. Conseiller Blisson, il parle comme le chemin de comté, c'est un petit peu plus large, le monde peut l'utiliser pour marcher.
Ouais, mais je veux juste clarifier avec le conseil que c'est pas considéré une piste cyclable.
Non,
OK.
c'est accotement pavé.
Accotement pavé.
Je sais qu'il y a une différence aussi, on l'a vu dans l'étude, que tu as comme le Frank Kenny qui est vraiment pavé 4 pieds de large, comparé à certains d'autres. Quand les contésinés, je pense que c'est quelque chose comme à peu près 2 pieds de plus large. Moi, c'était juste ça, de faire sûr qu'à 2 pieds, même si c'est pas considéré, puis qu'on a dans le radar, qu'on a une place pour stationner.
Oui. Est-ce que pour Hamilton Road, c'est pas pavé l'année prochaine, c'est ça? C'est un autre, tu vas nous dire dans combien d'années?
Oui, je vais ajouter cette information-là également.
OK. OK. So, est-ce que la route 200, elle va-tu paver cette section-là? Non, elle n'est pas pavée. 2021, à ce point-là, durant
C'est
la
pour ça,
discussion.
si on peut discuter comme, j'espère de pouvoir inclure Hamilton en même temps qu'on pourrait le faire.
À 2021, on va le savoir où ça s'en vient.
Ouais.
OK. Signs on the trail with Parks and Enterprise, oui, c'est déjà inclus. 21, Parc Richelieu, play structures with tennis court, ça dit included in annual budget, play structure only 2019, so il n'y a pas de tennis court inclus dans le parc, à moins que tu veux l'ajouter. Puis réparer les terrains, ben oui, ça c'est dans le budget 2020.
Mais les structures sont cédulées pour cette année.
The structure has been ordered, so hopefully we'll be receiving it before the year and being able to install it. If not, it's going to be installed in the spring.
Ça fait que c'est vraiment dans le budget
2019.
de cette année.
2019.
L'autre qui n'avait pas de nom, c'en est un budget, mais on ne sait pas d'où
C'est un
c'est passe
pas de nom.
encore.
Ouais.
Mais c'est pas ça de chez nous.
Non.
OK.
Okay, that finishes all the public requests and the council requests. Oui. Conseil des centres.
C'est juste que j'en ai parlé un petit peu aussi à la discussion hier. J'en avais parlé avec Mme Bourdeau. On a à considérer aussi pour les chemins, le chemin qui s'en va au Dog Park puis à notre station d'eau. Parce que ce printemps, là, c'était vraiment catastrophique. Nos champs sont meilleure qualité que ça. Là. Tu sais, il y avait des bandes de bœufs qu'on appelle en termes courants. Ça fait qu'il faudrait. Moi, je voudrais le revoir dans le budget de cette année pour qu'il soit refait. C'est pas extrêmement long, mais il faut que ça soit celui-là vraiment creusé pour faire un bon base parce qu'il n'y a pas de fond.
On a-tu un coût, une idée du coût, quelque chose de cette envergure-là?
Je vais devoir prendre au moins quelques mesures afin de donner un estimé.
Je sais il nous restait à peu près 6 000 $ dans la ligne de Limoges. Là. C'est à peu près ça. Mais même là, c'est même pas proche. Là.
Non, mais là, on avait parlé qu'on remontait le budget des chemins.
Ah, ça peut être encore là, ça monte le niveau de service. Monsieur Leduc.
Oui, mais c'est.
Si vous me dites que vous voulez voir ça dans un des packages comme option, on peut l'inclure, mais ça ne veut pas dire que vous allez décider de le faire.
Non.
Une fois qu'on va déterminer le coût, vous allez avoir une meilleure idée.
Oui, je suis correct avec ça, le mettre dans les options.
Puis comme il a dit, là, j'aurais pas de problème non plus que ce soit du surfacetage au lieu de la grosse asphalte. Là. Dépendant si vous voulez planifier de mettre votre chose à neige là aussi, que c'était dans le premier plan qu'on avait eu. Mais c'est juste que, comme il a dit, cette année, c'était dangereux pour les autos, pour ceux qui allaient au parc, chien.
So that's something that'll come back in the second draft as part of the options for the extra 1% infrastructure. Et aussi avec le grant FCN, tu sais qu'on s'en allait faire bâtir quelque chose en arrière là. Je sais pas si c'est quelque chose qui peut être inclus ou qui a été pensé. Monsieur Boulon.
Ben à ce moment-ci, on fait juste l'étude de déterminer leur site et la rentabilité d'un dépôt à neige. Donc, c'est ça notre première étape.
Ouais, so, les coûts
Les coûts de construction pour advenant que c'est un site qui est choisi.
Ça pourrait être inclus pour un potentiel à 3 à 1 point. But just that'll be part of your study. Okay, Monsieur Leduc?
Pour le moment, ce bout de chemin-là est considéré comme une entrée de cour.
Ouais.
Because now we own this whole property, so it's not an official road, it's
It's an entrance way.
It's an entrance way.
Oui.
Je pensais que c'était considéré comme un chemin, par exemple.
Non, c'est
Non.
l'adresse de la maison en arrière, c'est sur Notre-Dame.
Mhm.
C'est un chemin. Nous autres, on a pris un right-of-way
Il y a un
agreement.
droit de passage, mais c'était pas officiellement un chemin.
C'était pas Monsieur Bourgon?
Ben, je te pourrais ajouter ça, c'est considéré ce qu'on appelle les unopened road allowance. Fait que la municipalité appartient à l'emprise, mais ça n'a jamais été développé comme un chemin.
Puis définitivement, dans ce cas-là, c'est pas dans ton road network evaluation.
Non, c'est ce que j'allais ajouter, ça n'a pas été évalué. Puis,
Ok,
puis
ben,
avoir l'étude, ça ne serait pas une recommandation.
mais pour nos services, ça sera de quoi? Je sais que tout bien que là, ça va pas tomber avec road, ça va tomber avec, ça tombe-tu avec des parcs à chiens, là? Mais,
On va mettre tout sur le budget.
On est du budget de temps.
Moi, ça me fait
Monsieur Leduc,
On peut monter les frais des médailles de chien pour moi.
pour couvrir ça.
ça va en tout cas,
Ouh,
ben, c'est que si on a, on a un accès pour nous autres aussi, là, pour pouvoir aller à Tour d'eau, mais pas Tour d'eau, mais Water.
Ben, ça va revenir avec les options potentielles. Councilor Saucier?
Yes, I have a question. I don't know if it's part of the budget discussions or not, but I had spoken to Monsieur Bougon a little bit. There was, along the trail about the drainage issue. And a couple of 2 or 3 residents, like I know the culverts were changed at the park, but they were saying they still have drainage issues. I keep getting emails and people at my door, so I'm just wondering, is this,
Monsieur Bourgon,
rectified?
We will be, I will be coming with a report from council,
Okay.
from the investigation that roads supervisor did. Not sure if this is the right solution, but it will be presented
To
to
the
council.
council.
Yep,
Okay, we'll have that
With a-
discussion.
with a price tag.
With the price tag.
Merci.
Okay. Parfait. Question period on the meeting of the day? Nope. I was expecting perhaps one today, but I guess not. Confirming bylaw, ben, avant qu'on aille là, Monsieur Leduc. Je suis pas dans sorry, I read it out loud and realized no, we're not quite there yet. Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Godin. In regards, I'll just add quickly in regards to the line item that we have for Limoges and the second draft. It's done. So the extra 6,000 or whatever can be reallocated somewhere else.
So me and Mr. Bourgon had a brief discussion about a list of items for that grant. So the second draft will include spending that money on garbages and safety studies and whatnot.
Okay.
And we'll be bringing recommendations to show where it's being allocated. Basically, yesterday and today we've taken a lot of notes, so we do have a lot of minor changes and some big ones as well. So the second draft will be including that 1% increase for roads and 1% increase for the rec complex. I guess we'll be preparing some packages to see where that extra 120 is going to be allocated, which roads, and different options for council to choose on. So our goals in the upcoming days is to go through our notes and really make all the necessary adjustments, and to bring a second draft to council on November 4th, where we'll be showing exactly what's changed from draft 1 to draft 2, and essentially that's pretty much it. So I don't want to go through the changes now because I'm sure I'm missing some notes from yesterday, but we'll identify all the changes and all the discussions we've had. So.
Yeah, it will be presented at the regular council, the next regular council meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
2 weeks minus 2 days.
Okay. Any further comments, members of council? No? I'll just say thank you very much to the administration. I know it was a long couple of days. Specifically, it was a long day yesterday. But that's why we have these discussions, to make sure that we're lining up and we're representing the public to the best of our abilities. I think that this is very informative for us to be able to inform residents when we encounter questions about the budget in the municipality. I wish I had this at the upper tier level as well, because it didn't happen today. But regardless, this is a good piece of information. This information will be available on our website as well. And, it's very transparent and very open, and if the public wants to read up on it, they're more than welcome to access it on the website and question members of council or staff if they have any questions. Mr. Godin?
Awesome. So I just wanted to mention, so once the budget is adopted, the PowerPoint, the slide deck that we prepared is going to be updated with any changes that were approved by council. Je veux aussi remercier le conseil pour votre patience aussi dans certains processus où ben il y a des nouveaux, there's new reports and stuff like that we're pulling from our budget software. We're really trying to maximize the different functions of it, and so you did see some things this year that you haven't necessarily seen before, and without a heads up about it either. So I appreciate the comments that we've had back to regarding certain things that we're going to be working on. Donc c'est ça, je pense que c'est ça.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Leduc.
Madame le conseil, donc je suis très satisfait de la tenue des discussions, la teneur des discussions, je devrais dire, puis la préparation du staff sur le budget. Mais je voulais surtout lever mon chapeau à notre trésorier, M. Godin-Richard, pour son engagement personnel dans faire arriver tout ça, puis vous présenter des choses digérables puis facilement compréhensibles au public. So, Mr. Godin has really worked hard in, bring this topic to a very understandable level to everybody who's listening or even reading up in future on this project. And he's given a lot of hours, and I really commend him for doing this so and being engaged in this project and this process. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leduc. I won't. I'll let you enjoy that comment. I'll take you down a little notch. Not really, but just say before there's always a great team behind somebody you as well, and I think you've recognized that in the past. Your team is a big impact on how things are presented. So just from council's point of view, thank you to you and your team for presenting what was before council. It was very much appreciated.
Merci, Monsieur Leduc. And I did want to deflect that thanks also to the team, the citizens who's here with me, and Josiane, Jose, the whole finance team. Basically, I'm not the only one putting in a lot of hours, and my colleagues at the table too, from other departments. It's really a team effort.
Thank you very much, everyone. Members of council, we're good? Okay. We'll move on then. Confirming bylaw 2019-155. 155, bylaw confirm the proceedings of Council of Corporation of the Township of Russell at a special council meeting held on October 23rd, 2019, be read a first, second, and third time and passed. Moved by Councilor Tarnowski, seconded by Councilor Bisson. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Our next regular public meeting of council will be held on Monday, November 4th, 2019. And that'll be the same night that the second draft budget will be presented as well. And we are adjourned at 8:31 p.m. or 7:31 p.m. Thank you very much, everyone.